talked about on, what was the words you were using? The concept.
If we were using the concept of mastermind wisdom,
Okay. With the grief counseling or grief
and loss,
griefs and loss.
and counseling / coaching.
Okay.
Because in my mind, they go together. Coaching, you kind of lead folks into helping them discover the answer. Counseling is to listen to what folks say,
Okay.
and then help them repeat back to help them find an answer, which is the same thing you do in coaching. You try to help folks find the answer.
Okay.
Listening and asking questions also.
Okay. So with this compassion, we have a compassion helpline from the Advantage, which is a subsidiary of SEI, which is Dignity. Mm-hmm. And what you were telling me is that your concept will be grief counseling because of the ramification around people that are grieving, have other people that are grieving, but either aware or unaware of it. I mean, the associates, they'll give me that.
They are aware and unaware, but we grieve. We have grief and loss for things other than death.
Okay. What are some of the examples of other griefs and loss that we're talking about?
Have you ever been disappointed?
Sure, everybody has.
So, is there any grief there? Is there any thought of loss there?
Not a conscious grief, but
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of grieving and losing or loss that we go through is unconscious. It is subconscious. Because to be unconscious means that you're out.
Right. But you're not unconscious, you're subconscious.
Right, subconscious. So it's in our subconscious mind, but we have pain. We have suffering. And depending on the intensity or the cause, we still feel and know that it's pain, but we don't consider it grief or loss from that standpoint.
As in, we see grief and loss under auspices of death only in most cases.
In most cases.
Which is being taught to us. Okay, got it.
But any relationship that we've been in, we've had some grief and we've had some loss.
Agreed.
Even if it's a committed, tied relationship.
So based on that, you're saying therapy is generally can be helpful because it manifests in different ways, or what's the pros and cons of those?
The help comes when you recognize what's going on. When you stick your hand over a stove and it's hot, you recognize it's heat.
True.
So the answer is to move your hand.
Okay. So if you recognize the grief and loss in your life based on the circumstances that surrounding it, moving the hand, what consciousness you
consciously you got to figure out what caused this.
Right.
You got to be aware.
Right.
In my mind, we redefine or we help define what I'm going through. I'm thinking about my age and the things that I've been through in life, that a whole bunch of grief and loss was manifested during that time.
Okay.
I think about my marriage to my first wife. A whole bunch of grief and loss there.
I understand. Okay, okay.
There was a whole bunch of knowledge and learning. Discernment we talked about earlier.
Right.
Things that I know now that I should not have done in my second marriage. One of those things was I waited for my second wife to do the same thing as my first wife.
You was anticipating.
I was anticipating. I wasted time.
Got it.
You know, I was acting a fool
Waiting for that same thing.
and it never happened.
So, based on what I hear you say, understanding grief and loss, knowing that you had that first relationship, if you had grieved, understood, and accepted the loss, you would have moved into the next relationship fresh, anew, and anticipating on good things that this new.
Yes,
Okay.
but even deeper, that grief, that loss was about that person in our relationship.
Right.
I took that expectation of a continuation of the relationship
Right.
that I had with the first one into the second one, which never happened because she was not
The same
first
person.
one.
So is it fair to say that grieving is a process of closure of a situation and the circumstances, or a process of analyzing it and recognizing it so that you can move forward? Which one or which one?
Both. But to expand on that, to recognize that you are in grief, what caused the grief,
Okay, the cause.
what you can do to manage the grief.
Manage the grief, okay.
Because I knew in the first relationship, in that particular relationship, I knew the sign. I saw the signs that should have said to me, "Stupid, get out. Stop this insanity." But because I felt that I had so much knowledge and ability
Okay,
that I could handle it,
okay.
and I couldn't handle it because I wasn't equipped.
So what I hear you say is, based on that experience, if you have processed it properly, it could have been a benefit to you for moving on and for what you didn't know. So let me ask you this question, and I'll interrupt you. Isn't that the natural order of growth? Things we don't know, we just don't know. And then as we learn, we get to that point. So why would I regret? No, not necessarily regret. Why would I review the circumstances of what I packed my past when I know as long as I'm growing, I'm going to get better at it? Not that I'm going to establish and know it now. What does it benefit me to know it now as opposed to me growing and learning anyway?
You can grow from the knowledge of somebody continually punching you in your face.
Okay.
To realize that, if I had moved my face, hadn't gotten too close, chose to read the signs,
Okay.
our fist was drawn back.
Okay.
Proximity.
Right.
We think that we can absorb.
The hit. Okay. Yeah, well, we know
or endure the pain.
I got you.
And learning afterwards, when I knew better the first time, didn't make me any smarter.
And when you saying we should be smarter, or should we get better as we recognition
before
okay.
Let's look at a dog bite or a snake bite.
Okay.
They bite.
Right.
They growl. they curl up and shake their tail before
Strike.
yeah.
Okay.
We get the warning signs. So you read the warning signs rather than learning from the warning signs
Every time.
because
So grief loss managing the grief is a process and a solution to do better.
to acceptance. Because people, we have known people in our lives that have died. We know that we're going to die.
Correct.
We know that they're going to grieve. They're going to miss us. There's going to be some loss there.
Correct.
We haven't been properly trained and taught. How do I get past this grief and loss? Why am I so shocked? Why am I so handicapped by my feelings? You know, I go back to when the first real death that I experienced was when my grandfather died. And I was always afraid of walking by the funeral, the gravesite, because we were in the country. We lived down the street from the church. I didn't drive. I did a lot of walking with friends at night, daytime. And I told myself, I knew my grandfather. He was a